what's different the next day?
Well, they did the surgery, and he was in a coma for 8 days after that. And I knew the whole while I was there that I stayed there for like 6 days and I wouldn't leave the hospital. I didn't eat for 3-4 days. I just couldn't eat, and they finally told me that I actually had to leave his bedside, or they weren't gonna leave me in there anymore. I needed to go eat something and take care of myself, because he would need me to take care of him. And he would squeeze my hand when we talked to him. Even though he was in a coma, he would squeeze my hand, and I knew he was gonna be okay.
All right. So you said he had an 8-day coma, which in severe brain injury circles isn't a terribly long
Right.
one. Would indicate a fairly reasonable chance of a good recovery. So despite the fact that the doctor was telling you he had little chance, he actually seemed to do fairly well after the surgeries.
He did, and actually that night of the surgery, I actually was to that doctor's office the day before with my injuries and talked to his assistant that he works with. And she was there that night, and I actually seen her once, and she was walking away with an apple, and this was about 7 o'clock at night. And when I seen Dr. Weinschel, the doctor who did Mike's surgery, I kind of freaked out because, the day before I was there, telling him I had my neck fused, my back fused, whatever, and I went back to work for 5 hours a day, and I just couldn't do what I was doing anymore, and telling him, I can't do this, and, now I'm like begging him the next day to, save my husband's life. So anyhow, I had seen Becky, his assistant, and when I ran into her while my husband was in the hospital, she said that she had seen me there, but she said I couldn't meet up with you. She said, because I knew you personally, and this was the first time that I really ever knew anybody that we had to do, brain surgery on, and that I knew it was your husband. And she said I felt so bad because I got home at 2 o'clock in the morning, she said, and when I went to bed, I said, her husband is gonna die, he's not gonna make the night. It was so massive. And that is a word that Dr. Weinschel used, just massive, and shaking his head no to just, leave him go. And I have in the reports where he talked about the grave situation and everything. I have it right in the reports, and there was just no way he was talking me into just leaving him be. So he had his second surgery. He woke up after about 8 days. He was in ICU for about 2 weeks.